Peter chapter 1. My flap's in. Just shut my flap. Okay. 1 Peter chapter 1.
Praise the Lord. All I got to do is open my Bible and it falls open to 1 Peter chapter 1.
Guys, it falls into Luke. Someone told me Sunday, I wish you'd get out of Romans chapter 11. 1 Peter chapter 1. We're in verse 18 and 19. For as much as ye know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold for your vain conversation received by tradition from your father, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. Here's what I believe. What motivates a person to live the Christian life? What motivates a person to want to be a Christian and to serve God?
Loving the Lord.
Let me tell you what it is. How do you love the Lord? How do you love the Lord? How do you love the Lord? You love the how do you do that? Does every Christian do that? Do you know every Christian you know who says they're Christian, do they do that? Can you say they love the Lord with all the heart and all the soul and all the mind? They don't. Can they? Can every Christian do that? Can every Christian do that? Does a Christian is commanded to do that? It is an imperative. It's an indictive. That is a command of God to do it. It is not a suggestion. What'd you say, Frankie?
I said they should be able to. If they're Christian, they should be able to.
They should. Yeah. It is a command. That is a command. That is what happens when you become a Christian.
Love His Word.
Yes.
Love His Word.
Now, I think that here is one way I believe that helps us do that, and that is the first part of that verse, chapter 19. Chapter 19. What? Verse 1, chapter 1, verse 19. But with the precious blood of Christ, we have been redeemed by the precious blood of Christ. Blood from the beginning. Blood has from the beginning been regarded by God as the most valuable thing in the history of mankind, starting with Cain and Abel. God has closely formed a hedge about the fountain of the vitality of this most precious Sodom, and He took it seriously in the Old Testament about this sacrifice that was the shedding of blood. The Lord thus commanded Noah and his descendants. He stated, and you want to look at Genesis chapter 9 and verse 4. Genesis chapter 9 and verse 4. You want to read that, Brother Bill?
But the flesh, which is the life, thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat.
Man had every moving thing that liveth given to him for meat, but they were not by no means to eat the blood of the flesh. Things strangled were to be considered unfit for food, and since God would not have man become too familiar with blood, by eating or drinking it in any shape or form, even the blood of bulls and goats had a sacredness put upon it by God's decree. Even the blood of animals you couldn't eat or drink. I don't know why you would, but you can't. As for the blood of man, you remember how God's threatening came. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of a man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood by murder had not his blood shed by man, but then the crime was new, and the penalty had not then been settled or proclaimed. And therefore the case was clearly exceptional, and one by itself. And moreover, Cain's doom was probably far more terrible than it had been if he had slain upon the spot. So the point is, the shedding of any man's blood, no matter how it was done, was considered a crime. If a person accidentally killed a person, that person had to leave town fast and go to a city of refuge until it could be determined by a judge that it was accidental. The shedding of a man's blood in the Old Testament was considered seriously because God put a premium on the value of a man's life because the life was in the blood. Under the theocracy dispensation God controlled, in which God was the king and governed Israel, murder was always punished in the most exemplary manner, and there was never any tolerance or excuse for any kind of shedding of blood. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, life for life was a stern, intolerable law. Numbers chapter 35 and verse 32 to 1. Deuteronomy, what's the verse? Can somebody find it? Numbers what? 35:32 says what? Is expressly written. Numbers 35:32. Rich, do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
He shall take no satisfaction for him the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priest.
Yeah. So you could read that it was very serious on the part of anybody to shed blood, accident or not. How would that happen today? Accidentally shooting somebody, thinking that they were invading the home and they were in the bathroom, and you'd shoot them 4 times? It is clear then that blood was ever precious in God's sight, and He would have it so for ours. He first forbid the blood of beasts and food of men. Then admits the blood of man shed in anger, and furthermore takes care that even accidents should not pour it out unheeded. Nor is this all, but for we hear within the echoes of that law. So we cannot contemplate the probability of the shedding of blood without fear and trembling and comfort, which entails high risk if their production and procedure will lose all sweetness. So you cannot, God did not want the shedding of blood of animals or human beings to say, oh well, it happens. God put a premium and a value on a man losing his life when he loses his blood. How was that? If you look at 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 16, I'm not going to preach a sermon on it tonight. 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 16. 2 Samuel 23 verses 14 through 17. Would you read that, Serena?
14 to 17.
2 Samuel chapter 23 verses 14 through verse 17.
And David was then in an hole, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the three mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines, and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem, that was by the gate, and took it, and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these three mighty men.
I have a whole sermon on it. I think I'll skip that. Three of David's men heard that David was pinned down and needed water. They got water in Bethlehem and traveled through the enemy, risking their life in order that they may get to David to give him water. When they got there, David was thirsty. He saw the water, saw his three men. They risked their life to bring him water, and he would not take it. He offered it up unto the Lord. To risk your life to bring somebody water, risking your own life, was not worth to him for that to take place. How much more Christ-like the regret of David that he should have led any man to ask to risk his life for his comfort. How much more laudable was the belief that nothing short of the highest benefactor to man or to the highest devotion to God can justify jeoparding one's life.